Smoky Mountain National Park has become the single most visited national park in the country, and with it, tons and tons of crowds have come. Cities near it, such as Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, have exploded in population, and there are tons of things to do. And with this explosion in tourism, the area has also seen an explosion in accommodation options. And the accommodation option that many people like to go with is renting a cabin. And if you're interested in traveling to the Smoky Mountains, hopefully I can share some tips with you to make your experience even better. And actually, the whole thing started with what I think was a half-serious Facebook post. But for me, vacation planning is no joke. So I immediately started researching cabins in that area. Soon enough, I had narrowed it down to a few different options, which I then sent out to the group to vote on their favorites. And as you can expect, when you're planning a trip of this magnitude and of this cost, you're going to have a lot of opinions on what are the priorities in accommodations. But eventually, we did come to a consensus on this cabin. If you are planning a trip up to the Smoky Mountains to rent a cabin, I do recommend you consider several factors when deciding which cabin is right for you. First, you want to look at what you want to get out of your vacation. Do you want to go into the tourist attractions? Do you want to go to Dollywood? Or do you want to focus more on the nature aspect and spend more time in the Smoky Mountains? Or do you just want to hunker down in the cabin and enjoy the beautiful views that you get with one? Either way, you need to have this conversation with whoever you're planning on traveling with, because it's going to be the biggest factors when deciding the cabin. There are tons of cabins in this area, and not all of them are close to all of the attractions. Some of them are closer to Dollywood, some of them may be closer to the national park. So really, you're just going to have an open conversation with the people that you're staying with about what are the most important things to you. For instance, for me, the most important thing was to have a view. And my gosh, did this deliver. The views in this cabin were absolutely breathtaking. And to go in fall was even better, especially when we come from a place like Florida that doesn't really have a fall time. For us, one of the main selling points of this cabin was its incredible views. On each of the 3 floors, it had huge decks with rocking chairs, which allowed you to just go and sit outside and relax and enjoy the beautiful views. The main floor featured floor-to-ceiling windows, which allowed you to stay nice and warm inside and still enjoy that incredible view. It also featured a hot tub on one of the floors that you could enjoy the views after a long day of hiking or going to Dollywood. Our cabin also happened to feature an indoor pool, which was really cool, and I have to say we didn't use it as much as we thought we would. But it also featured an electronic passcode to enter the pool, which prevented any kids from wandering in there unsupervised. The cabin was big enough that all of the families got their own rooms, and the kids got their own separate room with a bunch of bunk beds in it. The cabin also featured a great kitchen and was able to seat all of us at the dining table. Something that many of these cabins feature that are a huge selling point for a lot of people are the entertainment options they offer. For instance, in our cabin, we had a game room and a movie room. In the movie room, we were able to enjoy the classic Top Gun, and we spent a good amount of hours using the pool table, and they also had an arcade game that the kids enjoyed playing with. As you look for accommodations, especially if you're going with a group to rent out a cabin, you want to make sure that you look very carefully at the number of bedrooms and how many showers all of the bedrooms have. Before booking, we made sure that all of the bedrooms had a bathroom en suite, which made it all the better experience, especially in a group of our size. Another thing that you might want to consider when looking at cabins is whether or not you want resort amenities. Some of these areas come with resort amenities such as pools, but if that's not important to you, then it might not matter as much. For instance, for us, since we had an indoor pool, it didn't really matter if our community had a pool in it. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, one of the main draws to this area of Tennessee are the Smoky Mountains themselves. So for us, it wouldn't be a true Smoky Mountain trip unless we actually went to Smoky Mountain National Park, which we were able to do, and we were able to do a beautiful hike up in the mountains. There are tons of trails with a wide variety of difficulty. We picked a fairly easy trail since Sadie was with us, and Katie was about 7 months pregnant at the time, so we didn't want to exert ourselves too much. But I picked this trail because of the gorgeous views, and of course, the waterfall at the end was the icing on the cake. I feel extremely lucky to have such a great group of friends that this incredible vacation went off without a hitch. But I will say, in fair warning, if you do plan on traveling like this with a bunch of friends, make sure you know the friends really well, because this type of scenario where you're isolated and locked in a house with a bunch of your friends has the potential for drama, and not even necessarily big drama, but it could be you have different interests. Maybe one of you really wants to go to Dollywood and the other people don't want to do that. These seemingly insignificant things can really be amplified by the fact that you're on vacation, far away from home, in a new environment. So you want to make sure that you know them well, you set expectations before you get there, and you all know what you're going to be doing. But like I said, we were lucky to have a great group of friends that we went with, and I think we all had a pretty good experience. Overall, I have to say it was an incredible experience to be able to go up to the Smoky Mountains and stay in this gorgeous cabin. So if you're interested in this area and you want to learn more about things to do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because in my next video, I'm going to be discussing our experience at Dollywood.